My fine gentlemen, I'm so glad you've come to see the show. My performance on you, as it were, will be something I shall thoroughly enjoy. And I trust, so shall you.
Alright, so because I didn't want to use the old Torque model, it wasn't really up to date for what I'm doing, and I'm not really a Blender user, so I couldn't really model something myself. My solution to upgrading Torque, this is kind of what I did. These are two of the same heads here, and the head to the right, I added a modifier called the subdivision. And you can just see that it kind of breaks up the polygons and kind of gives more detail to things, especially like in the cheeks and stuff. It just kind of smooths everything out. And once I updated a texture, which is this one, obviously, you can just kind of see how it just gives a slight upgrade to the model and everything. And I figured once I get this far and it looks decent enough, I know I could have smoothed things out maybe with like his hair and stuff like that, but for what I'm doing I didn't want to take too much time, so I figured once I get this much I could just put his head on another character or something and just hopefully that would look good enough perhaps. So this is just kind of my solution to upgrading Torque. Alright, and here you can just see kind of the final result of me connecting his head to a body, which is just another prisoner body from a different game. You can also see the old Torque here, which is pretty cool, seeing him in the Unreal Engine. Just a cool model in general, I guess. And, you know, I'm kind of just genuinely curious of what people think of this new Torque, whether it's bad, acceptable, or good. You know, maybe I've just been staring at him for too long. At this point, to me, he's in between acceptable and good. We can just take a closer head-on look here. Especially with some of the animations that we'll get into, I think a good representation of Torque. Alright, so before we get into anything else, let's talk about one of the very important core mechanics of the Suffering. It's kind of a unique game element at that time, and that's the concept of blood spatter. Basically, when an enemy gets hit, they can project blood onto the wall behind them, and Torque himself, when he's in battle, can get bloody. And we'll start with Torque here first, and we'll go into his bloodiest phase. I don't have the other one set up right now, but this would happen after he transforms into the beast, or maybe if he goes up to an enemy with a machine gun or something and damages them, he would get blood soaked like this. And after a while, if you're not in combat, it would fade out like that to normal. And I'll probably set up a couple phases. Alright, so let's take a look at Torque's movement here in the game. We'll do a little compare and contrast between the old and the new. And Torque's mechanics are set up really unique, especially for just a game at that time, and just any game in general. We'll do a little forward walk, and a back walk. Alright, we'll show off his running stuff, which isn't going to be perfect. None of this stuff is going to be perfect, which should be more than obvious from the start of the video, I hope. We'll do forwards and backwards. And I'm just saying it aloud, that way I can sync up the video with the old game. We'll do a right run and a left run. And it'll go into that animation stance. And I notice, we'll go right here. And I notice Torque will never face like the actual player or the camera. Anytime you press backwards, he'll always face away just like that. So no matter what you do, Torque will never face you. Alright, and finally here, we can just take a look at some of the random animations that I've set up, like the rolls and stuff. In the game, he can roll left or right as like a kind of like a dodge strafe. And this, I'll just have him roll in any direction. Maybe he'll get like a little speed boost or something like that. Some of these slayers are really crazy. Here we can do it like a static jump, and then like a moving jump. It's really not one of the main aspects of the Suffering, so I didn't put a lot of time into the jumping stuff. Here we'll go over to the door, and we'll just kick this motherfucker open. And there's a part in the game where you get a flashlight, and I've just kind of gone all out and just set up this whole damn thing here. We'll just check it out. Just like that, we'll have our flashlight, and we'll be able to turn it on and off. As a little example, we'll go down in this room. It's gonna kick this motherfucking door open like this. This is really, really dark, so we'll turn on our flashlight that we just obtained here. This can be adjusted, of course. And this here is just the cutscene from the beginning of the game. Just this little room in here. This was just an example with the flashlight. Hello, Dr. Killjoy. Alright, so let's take a look at the fun stuff, right? The guns. These have taken a lot longer to set up because I had to keyframe a lot of the animations by hand. So we'll take a little longer to look at some of this stuff. The first thing he has is he kind of starts off unarmed like this, and he'll walk up and grab a shiv out of somebody's chest. And the attack he does with that is like a triple attack. And I've kind of given him a little speed boost when he does it. That way, when he's fighting enemies, it's just a little more appropriate. And maybe I'll do like a little side-by-side comparison. I think my attack's a little slower or faster, but it's the same concept though. And the next gun he finds is the revolver. Now when he's standing still or going at a low speed of running, he'll fire the revolver with 2 hands. And when he's running at a higher speed, he'll fire the revolver with 1 hand, just like this. And I've just set up a reload animation. This is more for the first-person view, but I just use that anyways. The next gun he finds here is the Thompson. Let's take a look at this. And I've just set this up a little more. And I've also set up a nicer reload. You can see like the clip actually falls out. Shit! And the next gun and final gun that I've set up is the dual revolvers here. It's just kind of like the basic same attack with them. And he does a little dual reload. Once again, that's more the first person reload that I just used, but I thought it just worked, so. Alright, so let's take a look at the first person view of all the guns here. We can just switch on over the shank right away. And you can always, I've already set it up where you can switch over like simultaneously between whatever gun you have equipped. It'll just go over to that. But yeah, we'll go over the shank here, and something weird happens right away. It's a completely different animation. Maybe I'll display a comparison, but in the first person mode, he just does like a forwards like shank. And that's all he really does. There's really nothing to say much about it. The next thing here is the pistol. And I have the reload set up. This first person reload is the third person reload. I just kind of got lazy and just carried that over. The next thing is a Thompson here. I know it's a little crazy, but it's kind of crazy, but I like that a little bit. We'll do the reload. So I have all the Thompson stuff done pretty much. Maybe I had more time that day or something. And then the last gun here is the dual pistols. Just kind of the basic thing. And he does a weird reload where he just kind of like folds his guns in between each other. Alright, so before I fight Slayer here, I just want to say that in the actual Suffering game, the Slayers do about 3 different attacks. And I've set those up in here, and then I've set up 3 other attacks. And then altogether he can take about 8 different actions at random between like just changing his speeds and like all the sound effects they make and stuff. And I've just kind of set those into a crazy assortment of random shit that can happen. We'll just take a look at some of the stuff here. That side of the game, he'll do a backflip and actually hit you. Maybe I'll sit here and take a couple hits and just show you what it looks like. Oh, that's out of the game. He'll do like a double stab. You can imagine when it's a closer quarters, it'll be a lot different of a battle than it is now. That's straight out of the game. That was actually a really cool thing to do where he does a spin attack and then like skids on the floor, which is my favorite attack that they do. we'll just blow him away, and we'll fight some other ones here. Alright, so this last thing's pretty cool. I almost actually forgot all about it. It's just gonna be easier to show you than it is to tell you. It's kind of some freaky shit. So I've sort of made some some ceiling logic where they can transition between different services and like come and attack me and just, you know what I mean, just like the game. And like I said, I've done so much little things to like try and just fuck talking. Don't talk. Oh, hope you enjoyed the video here. Well, yeah, there's still some things to fix here. Obviously, I'm not afraid to show it, but yeah, got some issues, and I'll work at it as I go along. But hopefully, you enjoyed this stuff, and just let me know what you think, man. It's more important than any kind of likes or anything, in my opinion.